Talon looked at Lyra, who nodded. After a moment of hesitation, the young man departed. Lyra turned to face Rhea fully. "Who are you?" "Someone who's been waiting for the right moment." Rhea walked to the observation window and gazed out at the Dominion fleet. How long have those charts been driving military strategists crazy? Decades. The Union keeps them classified because they contain information about navigational patterns that can't be explained by current physics. Spatial anomalies, shortcuts through what should be impossible terrain. Lyra watched the woman carefully. If someone knew how to exploit that data, they could reshape galactic commerce routes, Rhea finished. Control access to the outer territories. Potentially gain military advantage over every competing power. "Yes, I'm aware." She turned back to Lyra. "I need you to do something for me. Open a priority channel to the Dominion flagship. Tell them you're ready to negotiate directly." "Why would I do that?" "Because," Rhea said, "you're going to tell them that they're about to make the worst mistake of their entire civilization." Lyra hesitated, then moved to her workstation and initiated the connection. Within moments, Kesha's massive form filled the holographic display again. "Ambassador," Lyra said, "I have someone who'd like to speak with you. Someone with actual authority over these charts." Kesha's mandibles flared. "I have no time for station technician Rhea Solon," she said, and gestured to the maintenance worker. Rhea stepped into the holographic pickup, and Lyra watched Kesha's entire demeanor shift. The alien went rigid. His scales seemed to darken further. "No," he whispered. "Yes," Rhea said calmly, "and you're going to order your fleet to stand down, or I'm going to make you regret every decision that led you to this station." "Impossible. You died 17 years ago. At the Battle of Crimson Gates?" Rhea nodded. "I did, or everyone thought I did. Turns out, faking your own death is much easier when you're operating under deep cover." She moved to Lyra's workstation and began typing. "Let me show you what I've been doing with my time." The space around Halcyon Arc suddenly erupted with decloaking signatures. Ships began to materialize, layer upon layer of them, in configurations that shouldn't have been possible. Stealth-rated destroyers, experimental frigates, an entire fleet that had been hanging invisible in the station's vicinity. Waiting. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. "Commodore?" Kesh said hoarsely, and Lyra realized that was what he had almost called her. 17 years of deep reconnaissance," Rhea said quietly. 17 years of learning how your fleet operates, where your weaknesses are, what makes your combat doctrine predictable. Her voice was ice. 17 years of patience. And you had to attack a station I was protecting. The Dominion flagship's weapons charged, then immediately powered down. Kesha's face in the holographic display was a study in controlled rage and dawning realization. "You've reactivated the Ghost Fleet," he said. "Every ship you thought destroyed in the outer conflicts. Every vessel supposedly lost in transit accidents. All of them operational, all of them crewed, all of them pointed directly at your position." Rhea's expression didn't change. "You have 60 seconds to begin your retreat. 58 now." "This is treachery against the Union," Kesh spat. "You've weaponized their own research for personal." "The Stellar Cartographic Union gave the order to activate the contingency fleet," Rhea interrupted. "They've known for 5 years where I was and what I was doing. The Union needed someone to restore the Ghost Fleet, to rebuild what was lost in the Crimson Gates conflict. It had to look like desertion. It had to be illegal, because the Dominion has spies everywhere, and if they'd known." She glanced at her wrist chronometer. 30 seconds, Ambassador." Kesha's claws dug into the armrest of his command chair. 10 seconds, Rhea said. "And Kesh? Tell the Dominion Council that the next time they attack a station under Union protection, they're going to lose more than a fleet. They're going to lose their entire grip on the outer territories." On the observation window, the Dominion ships broke formation. Desperately, chaotically, they began their retreat, their engines screaming as they pushed for faster-than-light capability. The Ghost Fleet tracked them, but held position, letting them flee. Lyra watched in a daze as the hostile vessels vanished into the quantum foam of faster-than-light space. "Who are you?" she asked finally. "Commodore Rhea Solon," the woman said, and suddenly Lyra could see it. The officer's bearing beneath the maintenance uniform, the tactical awareness in every movement. "I've been Union Intelligence's lead agent for the Outer Expeditionary Theater for the past 17 years. I was supposed to be anonymous, invisible, working supply chains, fixing systems, mapping new territory when I could." Rhea smiled slightly. "Halcyon Arc needed a technician. I needed to be here when the Dominion inevitably tried something. Why the charade? Why not just announce yourself? Take command of the station?" "Because," Rhea said, looking out at the now peaceful stars, "visibility makes you vulnerable. People know where to find you. They know your title, your schedule, your importance. But a technician? A maintenance worker? I could observe everything, learn everything, prepare everything. And when the moment came, I could respond from a position of strength because no one had any reason to think I mattered." Lyra considered this. That was the most dramatic fleet call-down in human history. Rhea laughed. A genuine sound, without the weight of command behind it. "You know what the best part about being a Commodore with the Ghost Fleet at your back? What? You don't have to ask for a cup of coffee. You can just order everyone else to make sure you get one exactly the way you like it." Rhea moved toward the service elevator. "That said, I could really use some sleep. 14 months of fixing sub-level servers is exhausting." "Wait," Lyra called out. "What happens now?" Rhea paused at the elevator. "Now you go back to doing what you do best. Mapping the galaxy, finding new routes, new worlds, new possibilities. And I'll be here, in the maintenance tunnels and the server rooms, making sure no one interrupts your work." She stepped into the elevator. "Besides, the coffee maker in sublevel 3 is acting up again. Someone should probably look at that." The elevator doors closed. Lyra stood alone in the observation deck, staring at the star charts on her displays. Somewhere in the depths of Station Halcyon Arc, a station technician was probably heading back to work, humming tunelessly, as if she hadn't just turned back an invading force and restored a ghost fleet to active duty. The universe, Lyra decided, was far more complicated than any map could capture. The observation deck of Station Halcyon Arc trembled as another salvo of plasma fire struck its defensive shields. Dr. Lyra Anwin watched the numbers cascade across her workstation with a clinical detachment that masked the ice forming in her chest. As the station's chief cartographer, she'd spent her career mapping the known galaxy. Now, with shields at 34% and reinforcements 8 days away, she was watching the map become a graveyard. The Dominion vessels hung in space like predatory fish, sleek and patient. They didn't swarm. They didn't need to. One battlecruiser was enough to reduce Halcyon Arc to rubble, and they had 7. Dr. Anwin, her assistant, young Talon Rios, approached with trembling hands. His face had the ashen quality of someone watching their future evaporate. "They're demanding we respond to their ultimatum. Again." Lyra nodded slowly, her fingers moving across her interface to pull up the latest data. The Dominion had been remarkably consistent in their messaging. Surrender the station's quantum navigation charts, or watch everyone aboard die. The charts themselves were worth billions, the result of 3 decades of deep space exploration, mapping wormholes, spatial anomalies, and the safest routes through the Darkwell expanse. To military powers, they were worth more than 1,000 conventional weapons. "Put them through," Lyra said. Visual channel. The holographic display bloomed to life. The figure that materialized made Talon take an involuntary step backward. Ambassador Vornerkesh was a Dominion elite, 7 feet tall. His scaled hide a deep arterial red that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. His eyes, entirely black from pupil to sclera, fixed on Lyra with the intensity of a microwave laser. "Station Commander Anwin." His voice came through the translator as a series of modulated purrs. "Your time expires in 4 hours. My patience significantly sooner. The charts or extinction." "Ambassador," Lyra said, keeping her voice level. "We've explained that the charts are the property of the Stellar Cartographic Union. I'm just a scientist. I don't have authorization. Then you'll die authorizing nothing. Kesh leaned forward, his mandibles flexing. 4 hours, Commander. Make your peace with your species' insignificance. The feed cut. Talon sat down heavily in the nearest chair. We need to evacuate. Get people to the escape pods while we still. The service elevator hissed open. A woman stepped out carrying a stack of data cartridges and humming tunelessly. She wore the gray maintenance uniform of the station's lower-level support staff, and her short dark hair was streaked with what appeared to be flux coolant. Her name badge identified her as Rhea Solon, station technician. She'd been at Halcyon Arc for 14 months. Lyra had never exchanged more than pleasantries with her. Dr. Anwin, Rhea said, setting the cartridges on an empty terminal. I need you to access the primary navigation matrix for me. The old server in sublevel 4 is throwing errors. Some of the historical chart data got corrupted when they did the last system migration. I need you to verify the archive integrity. Lyra stared at her. We're in the middle of a crisis. I know. Rhea smiled faintly. That's exactly why it needs to be done right now. Trust me on this. Something in the woman's tone, a kind of absolute certainty that cut through the chaos, made Lyra pause. She'd learned long ago to trust her instincts about people. And her instincts said that Rhea was not who she appeared to be. Everyone else, Lyra said to the room, I need you to report to the medical bay. Non-essential personnel are being moved to secure areas. There was a shuffle of movement, confused murmuring. Within minutes, the observation deck was empty except for Lyra, Talon, and Rhea. You too, Talon, Rhea said gently. I'm not leaving, Talon protested. Yes, Rhea said, and something flickered in her voice. A command authority that hadn't been there moments before. You are.